Good day to you, partner. I'm Dee, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hey guys, Wheat Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. What we have here is one of the fastest clears any summon-based build has accomplished on PD2 in a T3 with high density. Now, I always say 95% clear is good enough. I think he's very close to that. If he's a little below, I'll give him a break. He's a summon build, okay? Like, the dumbest thing you can ever do in this game is clear every minion on the screen. Even if you're a ranged caster. Like, if one minion's left, go to an area with a lot of them. And with summons, it's even worse. Okay, so what's the basis for our build? Well, as I theorized at the end of beta, the best way you could play Summoner is going to involve revives with Eternity, just because revives are so incredible with Eternity at in-game. And then archers, again, because archers are so incredible at in-game. Now, the only aura we have buffing archers is Fanaticism, which honestly is quite enough. An archer with Fanaticism at the skill points we summon them at should be doing, I think, 4,000 each one, which is pretty crazy for a range attack that has last hit collide. Now, one of the problems I had at the end of the beta is I didn't realize two things. Well, for one, Ghoul Lords were nerfed, and Ghoul Lords were awesome. That was so fun. I would have loved to have played the pre-nerf Ghoul Lord more. But two, Skeleton Mastery doesn't boost archers. It only boosts their life. Now, we actually have some points in the Skeleton Mastery, and that's because we're running mages. Now, I still think golems are a quality option for this build. The reason we're running mages is because Topwig felt like the splash was good enough that he didn't need golem support. Now, looking at this, I feel like he could use a little more damage around him. We only have one hard point into warriors, but I don't think it's necessarily holding him back. But that is something to look at, because it kind of looks like his range attacks aren't all going into one direction, which is something you kind of want with this build. So we have mages. We have 20 points in the Curse Mastery, which is just very solid. 20-point Curse Mastery Tri-Curse is very good feeling as a summoner. You have nice amp, you have nice lower resist, and you have a nice decrepithy. He is running 40 FCR, which is actually one of the biggest problems. We should be at 75 because it feels much better to play and look at. And two is FHR is incredibly low. Besides that, we'll come back to gear in a little bit. Going back to the minion choices, is we have council members for revives. With the nerf to Ghoul Lords and the Meteor Radius, we're looking for the best ranged minion we can get. And basically, Fanaticism council members seem to be the choice, because they will cast Hydras, and basically they're like having another 16 mages. You know how people want us to use the meme Mage Scythe? Which is, like, good if you're budget. Like, Eternity Council members is better than that. Trust me. Now, with the mages and the archers, we do have some leftover points because we're not dumping into amp or lower resist. So we put those into Skeleton Mastery, which I'm not sure how much that is actually buffing our minions. It could be quite interesting to put more points in the warriors. Kind of like I was mentioning, we seem to be missing a little bit of splash damage. The other option, of course, is having a few points in the Golem Mastery just to have one or two golems. Which, again, as I've said many, many times, one hard point clay golems provide quite a nice splash. So if we even had 3 clay golems around Topwig, that would be a nice extra splash. That would probably be better than a warrior point dump or the Skeleton Mastery point dump. But again, that kind of depends on how much more melee splash we need. From there, I don't think there's any revive that would be better than council members. You could run Moonlords, but that's more of a budget thing. We don't really need more melee. And again, even if they have Frenzy, they have to run everywhere. Like, as a summoner, we're trying to have as much range damage as possible, which is something that is very hard for a summoner to have accomplished in prior seasons in this game. Basically, our only option in earlier seasons was Fire Golem Season 1 were actually pretty good, but they were like only a bit better than Skeletons, which were only a bit better than Clay Golems, so... which none of them were good. Trust me, I played that way too many times. I'm never doing it again. It was an awful experience. You can only play a summon-based build and do T3s at 15 minutes so many times in your life. Well, this build almost did sub 7. Okay, so what's the gear choices we're going to go to? More FCR, more FHR. Anything else? Well, there is an idea about using an Act 5 Merc. I don't think that would be optimal, but it would help the splash problem, which is something I talked about earlier on too, where it's like, you know, it is possible Act 5 would be good just because he's such a beast in the area around you. And then you would run Collin Shield. Now, Fanaticism is a must. We need that somewhere because it decreases casting animations on all of our summons. So it has to be Beast, or we need to make a Beast Iron Golem. We can't run Act 2. What about that Infinity? Well, that's probably going to be an Iron Golem, because Fanaticism is probably more important. An Iron Golem would be really nice, which is maybe why having a few points in the Golem Mastery could be a pretty solid option. You get an Iron Golem, you get 1 or 2 more Clay Golems to throw around you. Could solve everything. So Infinity, we need more FCR, FHR, and then we're looking at maybe changing our shield to Phoenix. With this build, we have so many summons that kill so reliably, and we're running Decrepify, that we're really not worried about dying. So we're not running max block, because we're not going to get hit that much. And then we have so much life, what we really want is a way to get that health back. And so Phoenix is a great option then. So this build is going to be actually quite expensive, and I don't recommend anyone making it. Now, if someone is like, well, I love playing Summoner, what should I run? I'll tell them like everybody else, your first priority is Eternity Revives. It's just too good of a rune word that has too many options. Moonlords, Council members, Revives are really good. What next? Okay, Archers, as long as you have at least one high quality rune word, like Fanaticism. What next? Well, I would go Golem Mastery. I would not prioritize mages until your gear was very, very good and you were looking for just stacking as much range damage as possible. Any other options? Honestly, going full skeletons with Laerix and Tricurse seems like a pretty good build as well. Guys, Summoner has more options than ever, and while this is probably the optimal build, I don't think this is a build you're going to see very often in the game. But we made it. Skelle King out. GG.
Come and play with us. Come and play with us, Daddy. Forever.